Well, look what we found. We are in answer plot, Corey and I, with Easy Insights number 13. Corey, what are we up to today?
John, tell me why that corn's falling over.
So I think there's 3 reasons why the corn's falling over, Corey. Finding it in the countryside. Here's reason number 1. So this is probably the most common reason, and it relates back to traits. So in my right hand, Roundup Ready, no insecticide, Smart Stacks, no insecticide. Definitely can see differences in root mass here. One thing I want you to pay attention to is the amount of dirt that those Smart Stacks is holding. So we did have feeding on both of these hybrids. Again, we're in an answer plot. I pre-dug these. These are the differences we're seeing. Look at how the below ground relates to the above ground. So you can see the differences in stocks here. If I hold them back out, Smart Stack stock is still holding strong, whereas the Roundup Ready stock has definitely been compromised because of the reason of probably not taking up enough nutrients and water in season. I think we can all have that trait conversation this year based on what I'm finding in the field. This is going to be an important one to show your growers out in the countryside. Reason number 2 is there's a few things that we're seeing in the countryside that relate to stalk diseases. Probably the most common one that we're seeing is what we would call anthracnose. So this is anthracnose. It's going to be found mostly in the internode. In some cases, I'm finding it go all the way up to the ear. Note that anthracnose, take your thumb and scrape it. If it's not coming off, that means it's subsurface and it shouldn't come off. That's a quick identification of anthracnose. There's a few other ones out there that are common, Gibberella, Diploidea. If those come off, if you scrape them with your thumb, that'll be an indicator that it's not the anthracnose that you're seeing out there. Third reason, Corey, is the planting conditions that we dealt with early. So you can see that this stalk right here, pre-dug, actually looks fairly good. You do your pinch test on it. I'm actually pinching pretty hard here. It feels firm. So I don't really have a lot of issues, but what you notice around the nodes here, there's a little bit of a pink discoloration. I know it's a little bit harder to see, but if you pull and you split that stalk open, you can see, you can split that stalk open, and what we found here was early in the season, about V3, V4, we were scouting and splitting crowns, and we were seeing that some of those crowns were black or brown. When those crowns are black and brown, we know that the sugars have been removed and the stalk has been compromised, and a lot of those soil-borne diseases are going to come up in the stalk. This would be an indication of Gibberella or Fusarium coming in, probably from an early season stress factor that we had.
Okay, John, as we're riding combines, we've got really good yields, and then we've got some yields that maybe feel a little 5 to 10 to 15 bushels off. What do you think could be causing some of those problems?
So there's a few things that I'm finding, Corey, in the field that maybe aren't alarming, kind of hidden and very subtle. You have to really study the ear and look at the ear to see what's going on. So I took and I grabbed a few ears of things that I'm seeing in the field. Here you can see this ear, I highlighted in green the spots that I want you to focus in on. So this particular spot, you can see that the kernels have aborted. We actually lost 2 kernels there. So pay attention to the ears. This ear actually looks pretty good for the population that we had it planted at. But when I look at the amount of kernels that were aborted, I was having 25 to 26 on average for kernels aborted. That's about 8 to 10 bushel differences. So if you feel like your yield is about 8 to 10 bushel off, or if that grower thought he managed but didn't do a very aggressive job, start to look at those ears and see where that abortion could have occurred. A lot of that abortion, what I found, is occurring prior to pollination, meaning that we probably could have done something about it in an in-season management practice. The other thing that I'm finding in ears, here you can see most of these are highlighted in red. Some of the later pollinated, later plantings, hybrids, we found that they had to finish, and the way they were sacrificing and trying to finish early was to abort kernels within that row. So if you're just seeing singular abortion, might be an indicator that you did have some stress in that hybrid, and that it was just trying to finish and go after that yield that it had from the early season.